Hello, dear fans, friends, and subscribers. Welcome to the Cricket Happening Show. This on a Monday. As far as today's Cricket Happening Show goes, well, 2 hours from now, we have the second One Day International of the Chappell Hadley Trophy series, which will be starting between Australia and New Zealand at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. So, I'm going to preview the second One Day International between Australia and New Zealand, which right now, as I'm talking to you, we are just 2 hours away from the start of the match there at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. And one knows that this is a very significant match for New Zealand, especially because if Australia are going to win this, as you know, the Chappell Hadley Trophy ODI series is always a three ODI affair. And if New Zealand actually lose this second One Day International to Australia, then it would be curtains for them in the Chappell Hadley Trophy, and Australia will be the ones who will be taking the trophy from New Zealand. So New Zealand right now are defending the Chappell Hadley Trophy series, and it's a must-win game for them. So it should be a very interesting encounter on the cards at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. So I'll be previewing that particular One Day International, and also England have actually named the squad to take on India in the One Day Internationals. In comes Hales and Morgan, who actually missed the Bangladesh tour, as you would remember. So Hales and Morgan are back, which is great news. But Ben Duckett, who had a very tough time against India in the test matches, especially against Ashwin, has been dropped. So one has to look at the team, because Ben Duckett to me is a perfect one day and T20 player. So one does not know whether that was the right decision, but I will have a look at the teams and I will really speak to you. So let's get off to the Manuka Oval in Canberra, where 2 hours from now the second One Day International match of the Chappell Hadley Trophy One Day Series would be getting underway. So let's look at New Zealand, because New Zealand are the ones who actually this is a must-win match for them, and there would be one thing that they would be happy about is that this should be a perfect batting pitch, where the team that so the toss will be very vital. The team that wins the toss will bat first, and chasing could really be a challenge on the Manuka Oval in Canberra, as the facts and figures show in previous matches. So as far as New Zealand are concerned, now, one good thing for New Zealand is that Martin Guptill really showed some firepower there by notching up his first ever One Day International century. So Martin Guptill has to once again get the goods back. I mean, he has to really be there for New Zealand to actually play one of those knocks once again. The Martin Guptill will be in a position to, will be seen today at the Manuka Oval. Tom Latham is a very compact player. He definitely missed out in the first One Day International, and we saw what he did against India in India, as you would remember, in the One Day Internationals. So Tom Latham could be expected, because he's one of those sort of a sheet anchor roles that he plays. He holds the innings and he could play till the end, which he did against India, as you would remember. So Tom Latham and Martin Guptill would be the ones who will be opening the innings, and New Zealand will be expecting a very good start from the openers. Which would be a must probably, as this is a must-win match for New Zealand. Kane Williamson, the captain, always captains the side wonderfully well, and he himself missed upon an opportunity in the first One Day International, and I'm sure Kane Williamson would be one who is not going to miss the opportunity right now, because he knows how important this game is for New Zealand. Jimmy Neesham, well, he's, as I always said, Jimmy Neesham is a real utility player, total utility player for New Zealand, and he's been doing a fine job both with bat and ball. And they have the real power, the dynamic power coming from Colin Munro. Well, he definitely ran out of partners, so Colin Munro will be one who would be expected to really strengthen this New Zealand middle order in a great manner. BJ Watling, the wicketkeeper. Mitchell Santner definitely could not do anything the other day, but Mitchell Santner, let me tell you, is a useful all-rounder in the New Zealand team. Colin de Grandhomme also could not really lay bat to ball, and he would be hoping that Colin de Grandhomme would be hoping that he could really, biff a few of the Aussie bowlers. Now the question would be whether New Zealand are going to have Lockie Ferguson. And Lockie Ferguson, well, as I said, the first look of it, when he was bowling, one saw that he was ramping up the pace. I mean, in one particular over, he bowled at 150 clicks in the first match itself, picked up the very important wicket of David Warner. But later on, we saw, due to his inexperience, he was taken for a lot of runs. So he leaked 73 runs in his 9 overs. Now, that could be really, as I said, for New Zealand, is a must-win game. So whether tomorrow Lockie Ferguson is going to play, now that is going to be the question. Now that is going to be very interesting as to what New Zealand are going to do. Tim Southee is fit right now, and one really knows that Lockie Ferguson got his place only because the Tim Southee was not available. But now one is really hopeful that Tim Southee, Trent Boult and Matt Henry will be the threesome who would be manning the pace department, and I think they will be severely tested. The reason being the Manuka Oval in Canberra could be a real belter. So that is as far as the New Zealand team preview is concerned. Now looking at the Australian team, well, they are really getting into this match with lots of confidence, especially after suffering the 5-0 drubbing at the hands of the South Africans in the One Day International Series. Australia definitely would be buoyed up here. And one saw that Aaron Finch missed upon an opportunity in the first One Day International. And as I said, that's just one of those days. And Aaron Finch, let me tell you, he's someone who can really pack a punch when he plays his strokes. And he's someone who could be devastating on his day. And David Warner also missed out. So Australia would be hoping that David Warner and Finch really rattle along nicely on this very good batting pitch, which would fetch them a lot of runs, and they could probably lay the foundation for Australia to score a massive total. Stephen Smith, what to say about Stephen Smith? I mean, the captain of the team already has the highest ODI score of his career, and that could only do more and more good for Stephen Smith. George Bailey, with his very peculiar stance of his, was cheaply dismissed for 17. Would be hoping to really get on well in this particular match. Mitchell Marsh the other day was unlucky with that ball ricocheting of the finger of the bowler and hitting the stumps, and he was a non-striker. So he would be guarding against that. He should probably not be backing up too far the bowler is bowling. Travis Head has been proving his usefulness to this Australian batting card time and again now, with all the opportunities that he has been getting. Matthew Wade showed that he could really biff a few into the stands, and then we come into the bowling cordon. The bowling cordon, Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazlewood form a very perfect opening pace bowling pair. Josh Hazlewood is someone who bowls wicket to wicket, and he will also swing the ball. So, but I think as far as the bowlers are concerned, I think they would be in for some a real leather hunt if this Manuka Oval pitch in Canberra is going to play according to expectations, and that is a belter. I think the Australian bowlers and the Kiwi bowlers would be severely tested here. So Mitchell Starc and Josh Hazlewood would be the one, and Pat Cummins would be the one who would be having the extreme pace considering both the sides, and Adam Zampa. Adam Zampa is definitely on a roll because, as I said, he's the highest wicket taker in One Day Internationals. He has 30 wickets in One Day Internationals this year in 2016, and that is something. He's on the top of the pile as far as wickets are concerned in ODIs. So Adam Zampa would be really raring to go here. But again, as I said, this particular match at the Manuka Oval in Canberra, it's all about how the bowlers can bowl, because it looks, looking at the way things have gone at the Manuka Oval in Canberra in the recent past, one would probably definitely put the money on the batsmen, because the batsmen are the ones who are going to be, like when you say, make hay when the sun shines. So probably that is going to be very apt for this Manuka Oval pitch in Canberra, where Australia and New Zealand are going to be belting a lot of runs. So bowlers would be the ones who would be under the pump. But if the bowler can really get on to some wickets on this particular pitch and really show their skills, that would be something which could be very, very commendable on this particular pitch at the Manuka Oval in Canberra. Now from here I leave you, friends. So as I said, probably 1 hour and 45 minutes left for the second of the Chappell Hadley Trophy ODI match, second ODI match to be starting in the Manuka Oval in Canberra. From here I'm going towards the Indian tour, and the reason I'm going to India is that the England ODI squad, which is going to be taking on India after the Test series, has been announced, and that's the precise reason one is talking about this. So the England ODI squad, if actually one looks at it, really says that, well, let's have a look at the squad. Now Morgan, as you know, he's the captain of the England ODI squad. So after missing the Bangladesh tour, Morgan is back as the captain. Moeen Ali, Jonathan Bairstow, one knows that what peak form he's in his career right now, and he's the one who is the highest run scorer as a wicketkeeper batsman. He has broken all the records, Jonathan Bairstow. Jake Ball would be getting a first taste of India for sure. There are a lot of players who would be probably facing off against India for the very, very first time. Jake Ball, Sam Billings, who is also a very, very perfect one-day player, can really get the runs very quickly. Josh Butler, absolutely tailor-made. This is his cup of tea, with playing all those unorthodox strokes that he plays, where he can really put the bowlers in a real quandary as to where to bowl. Liam Dawson gets his place in the ODI squad. Alex Hales is back. So Alex Hales, we know what a wonderful pair, ODI pair England has in the form of Alex Hales and Jason Roy. They are really, really a powerful batting pair. They amassed a lot of runs. They put up some big partnerships. They broke a few records against Bangladesh, as you would remember, against, if I'm not wrong, it was against South Africa, if my memory serves me right, and then against Sri Lanka probably. Liam Plunkett, who is a much improved ODI bowler now, and Joe Root, Jason Roy. Ben Stokes, well, we all know he's a mercurial all-rounder. David Willey, another perfect one-day specialist, and Chris Wokes, well, one has already seen him, what he has done with the ball in India. And the spin department would be manned by Adil Rashid. Adil Rashid, right-arm spinner, who has definitely, I would say, had the wood on India for sure, because he has picked up a lot of wickets against India. So I'm sure he will be the one who is not going to allow things to really settle down. He's one who is going to be really on the march, no doubt about it. So all in all, it's going to be a very interesting ODI series which would be played against India, and I think one is really looking forward to this, no doubt about it. So basically this is the composition of the ODI squad. Now one thing that I would like to say here is that there is no Ben Duckett. Now Ben Duckett, if you look at Ben Duckett, he batted at number 3 in Bangladesh. In 3 innings, he scored 2 half centuries. But when he came down to India, he really struggled, especially against Ravichandran Ashwin. He could not fathom the balls that Ashwin was bowling, and he was becoming the bunny rabbit for Ravichandran Ashwin. Now, One understands that Ben Duckett, I for one feel that Ben Duckett is someone who is perfectly tailor-made for one-day internationals and T20s. And I was a bit surprised when I saw the composition of the England ODI squad, which did not include Ben Duckett. Now, I was just looking at the side here and looking where Ben Duckett could be exactly accommodated, because whether they could have probably gone for Ben Duckett and got Liam Dawson. One does not know, because Liam Dawson also a very good one-day bowler. So probably one does not know whether what was the real thought behind that. But nevertheless, I always felt that Ben Duckett, one could understand that Ben Duckett was not really made for test matches, probably a bit early, I would say. But one really feels a bit sorry that Ben Duckett does not figure in the ODI squad. Or probably, there could be one good point that England think tank might have noted, and that is probably one. But again, test matches are pretty different, where the closing cordon is all hemming around you. But in one-day internationals, I think Ben Duckett, even if he might not open the innings, because Alex Hales and Jason Roy are there to open the innings. And even, let's say, if Ben Duckett would have come one drop, he has the ability to go over the top, and besides, he can play some wonderful strokes too. So one does not know what was the thought behind that, but one feels a bit sorry that Ben Duckett has not made it to the England ODI squad. Nevertheless, that's for the English think tank to really ponder over it, or look at what can be done. But this is, as I said, I'm not a very big. I'm not a critic, or I'm not. This is just my purely. I'm just expressing my opinion on this show, where whatever I feel, I'm just sharing with you, dear friends, saying that probably Ben Duckett, but one does not know who was the person who they could have left out and actually accommodated Ben Duckett. So that is not something that I would be in a position to really point out, but I definitely felt that Ben Duckett could have been part of the ODI squad. Well, nevertheless, Ben Duckett is definitely a talent, and I'm sure he should not despair. He should wait for another opportunity, and I'm sure this man, Ben Duckett, will definitely be one of the players to reckon with in the future for England in one-day internationals, even though he's missed the bus here. Well, good luck to Ben Duckett then. And that's it, dear fans and subscribers. I think it's about time for me to conclude this cricket show on this note by saying that probably we are another 1 hour 40 minutes away from the start, 2 hours probably from the start of the second of the Chappell Hadley Trophy ODI series between Australia and New Zealand. It's also, as I said, it's a must-win game for New Zealand. Well, dear fans and subscribers, that really says it all as far as today's cricket show is concerned. Hope to see you all tomorrow on my next cricket broadcast, which will be covering the Chappell Hadley Trophy second ODI. Till such time that happens, this is your host Ram saying good night.